Windbreakers Season 2 premiere, Rage. And you thought this show was going to ease us into the battle with Keel? No, we're going in full force. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Windbreakers Season 2 premiere titled Rage. And boy, was there plenty of rage to be exhibited throughout this episode. Honestly, I want to say the music really captured the essence of what this episode was about. I give it a 9 out of 10 personally on the review. And the reason I give it that number is I think there was the only thing that was really annoying me was the fact that why do we keep bringing Nere anywhere? Like, I get we have to have someone taking notes on things, but he's essentially useless, and he fills exactly the same exact role as a certain character that we all know from Demon Slayer, except that character has a huge grow up, so I hope we have the same thing for Nere at some point. I haven't read the manga on this one. This is the one I'm going into blind because I thoroughly enjoy just kind of tiptoeing into this one. But the episode itself was really, really good. We knew things were going to kick off in an absolutely insane pace the minute we basically got to our opening because we had the class one of Bofering, the first years, literally walk directly up to Keel's lair. And again, the true villains of this entire show are the parents. Where the heck are you? We have children fight clubs everywhere, and no one seems to be doing a lick about it. But at the same time, we get this amazing show because of it. And we see that Sugashita is definitely someone who's not to be trifled with. We have, our typical padlock, steel chains, all that good stuff, completely padlocked. There's no way you're supposed to be able to get into this building whatsoever. Dude just kicks his way right through it because why not? I don't know what they're feeding these kids, but at the same time, it seems to be clearly effective. Maybe this is the stuff they put in a Shohei Otani. Who knows? But at the same time, Sugashita breaks in, and everyone is a little terrified of Sugashita's natural strength. He's just someone that prides himself on rage, and he does a great job of exhibiting those traits when it's absolutely needed to. Because we're breaking into Keel because we're trying to get Anzai's friend Nagato out, and Nagato is still there, beaten up, hanging out with the upper echelon on the second floor of this, shipping container area that's somehow completely abandoned except for kids. And is continually still being, he's being berated, physically abused. The leader doesn't seem to give a care about anybody or anything. Keel runs entirely differently than Bofarine from all intents and purposes. They run through force, just like the last club that we broke up with. They were running because they can use fear, manipulation, and then the fact that if you don't comply with their orders, they will just kind of mold you slash break you and then reform you into the unit slash soldier that they need you to be. And then they go ahead and handle business in that regard. And we see that a couple main fights kicked off in this one. Sakura versus Konge, which seems to be it should be a one-sided matchup because Sakura is definitely someone you don't really mess with. We have Sugera versus Kirishima. That fight is going to be pretty quick once we finally get things up and going because we have two powerhouse brawlers. Let's go ahead and let them have it. Sugashita versus Magami should have been settled about 5 minutes ago. But at the same time, it seems like Sugashita is kind of holding back because he should have had this handled. But the leader of Keel was very, very intelligent when he saw that these fights were breaking out because these 5 members of Bofarine were so strong that ultimately we were able to rally the troops around them because they're providing the perfect support. So he sent in 5 strong guys, isolate the group. Next thing you know, you can start knocking off the small people and then working your way over to, these 5 that have been giving you so much trouble. And as we continue to go on, we see that there's 2 more main fights that break out throughout what we have going on here. Mitsuri versus Kaga. Kaga is definitely old school. He's definitely someone who is very misogynistic and definitely someone who's not really with the times. So having him fight up against Mitsuri, perfect matchup. Mitsuri is the suave gentleman who's kind of more of the modern day man versus what we have in the past where it's like, oh, you move gracefully, must be a girl. It's like, not really sure that's a bad thing in a fight. Moving gracefully is kind of what a lot of major fighters throughout history have been known for, and they've kind of been kicking plenty of butt, and seems to be a good thing for most people. And Hayata versus Tome is really happening, and that one is really just a handicap match because we still have Of course, Neri right behind him, who is just having an absolute panic attack. He thought this was going to be a typical showdown like they had last time, where there was at least some rules and at least some honor. Keel doesn't play that. Keel does not want to follow any order, rules, or structure whatsoever. Everything to them is a business, and they, by using their fear on their underlings, they're able to enforce whatever business transactions they have going on, and they seem to be in for a penny and all the way in for a pound. Violence is their creed and violence is their mandate. They just go ahead and handle business as best they can. Nere, surprisingly, is a person that kind of spawns this level of hope in the group that we're going to be able to handle things kind of moving forward, because he seems to find some type of courage, kind of like the Tokyo Revengers hero, where he just breaks down crying and having nervous attacks all the time, and then just tackles people and is like, just lays on top of them. Is like, I've got them. I've got this fight handled. And it's like, I mean, you got them down, sure, but is this really an effective fighting strategy that you can kind of copy over and over and over again? Don't really think so. So Neri starts getting, the absolute snot kicked out of him until we have the second years continue to show up and really make some damage. Kaji, Inimuro, and Kusumi. These three are big names, and they're going to be able to handle business in a lot of regards. Kaji, everyone in Kiel is afraid of him. Whatever he did in his first year made a significant impact in how people view him. But we're seeing a lot more depths and layers to Kaji than what I was really expecting to see this early on. Kaji is someone that I kind of had low expectations from season one, but he seems to have really grown and matured and adapted. And while he seems to be short of fuse, when that fuse is lit, he's a whole different individual. He's someone that can really handle business, and people are just genuinely afraid of just his aura, which, again, aura farming seems to be the new move for most major animes out there. As we just saw with Solo Leveling, they just did it for an entire unabated second season because they're running up against virtually no competition other than Sakamoto days, so they were able to milk that for what it's worth. Kaji has a moment with Sakura where he's like, look, I know you really want to go get revenge against the top guy, but right now you can't even handle your business. You can't even protect your classmates. You're so focused on him, you're not focusing on those around you. How are you supposed to be a leader, let alone someone leading from the front like you wanted to be, if you can't even protect those around you? And he punches him square in the face, which is definitely something Sakura needed. Sometimes you need a little bit of tough love in order to grow, and Sakura seems to have taken this in stride, because not only does he agree with everything that Kaji is saying, because he starts calling himself a weakling and he starts calling himself a coward and someone who's made a mistake, that ultimately he punches himself in the face again, just so he continues to bleed more, because I guess Sakura really just enjoys, that level of punishment in a fight. And it seems to have knocked some sense in him, because he's like, hey, I'd really want to go punch the guy up top about 10 times in the face if you can, because Anza got clearly decked by the leader. And honestly, when he landed, I thought he broke his neck, but at the same time, he seems to be either just unconscious or just completely, unstable at this current moment in time. Kaji's going to go handle the leader, and now Sakura and the gang have to go take on the rest of the first floor while we're getting things finally cleared up. This episode was an amazing start to the season. I'm very excited to see what we have coming forward. As always, be sure to be subscribed if you want to be here for all the breakdowns, or just hit that like button if you are already subscribed to the channel, because you just listen to me ramble for about 8 minutes. Clearly, there's something here in the content that you enjoy. We have shorts dropping daily, Supermarket Simulator every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as Daredevil still ongoing. I'm Brent for Geek Variants. I'll see you for our next episode of Child Fight Club, aka Windbreaker Season 2.